Welcome to the Woodward Shoutouts Deep Dive, where we dive deeper into the stories that make our town unique. Today's deep dive is based on the article Secrets Beneath the Sidewalks, What's Buried Under Downtown Woodward. We're going to walk the streets of downtown Woodward, not just on the sidewalks, but into what lies beneath them. Hidden basements, forgotten construction, buried artifacts, and untold layers of local history.
That really sums it up perfectly. And what's so interesting about this, this source material is how it mixes things up. We've got the official, certified History Think National Register landmarks.
Right, the stuff you can verify.
Exactly. But then right alongside it, we have these really tantalizing local legends, things like speakeasies, maybe even ghosts, stuff that's harder to pin down.
Or impossible sometimes.
Maybe. And our goal today is really to explore how both of those things, the proven facts and the whispered stories, kind of weave together to create a community's identity. It's about resilience, sure, but also about the power of local storytelling itself.
I like that framing. Because, yeah, history isn't just dates and names on plaques, is it? It's the whole feel of a place. So, to get our bearings, maybe we should start with something solid, something foundational from those early days. The article points to the Stine-Bradbury Mansion as key starting point.
Yeah, the mansion is definitely the anchor here. It went up in 1916, built by L.L. Stine. He was one of the early big players in town, a banker. And you can tell just by looking at it or even pictures of it, it's this grand classical revival home.
Okay, and that style choice, classical revival, that's not just random, right? That's saying something specific.
Oh, absolutely. It's projecting permanence. Stability,
Yeah.
wealth even. It's like planting a flag and saying we're building something serious here, something lasting, a real center.
So it tells you about the mindset back then, the economic hopes and the cultural ambitions for Woodward.
Precisely. It was meant to be more than just a stop on the map. It was designed, with serious financial backing and a certain level of formality. And the fact that it's still standing, listed on the National Register, used for weddings, community events, it's still that crown jewel. It's documented history.
A tangible link to that original vision. It sets a kind of benchmark.
Yeah.
But even with a place like the mansion, which is so well documented, there are always layers, aren't there? Things the official register doesn't quite capture. It's seen a lot.
It has. And that brings us, inevitably, to a moment that dramatically changed everything. Woodward's story isn't all about graceful architecture and careful planning. It's also profoundly shaped by disaster, by survival.
We have to talk about the 1947 tornado, the F5.
Yeah, that's impossible to ignore in Woodward's history. April 9th, 1947. It didn't just damage downtown, it practically erased almost 100 city blocks. Trying to picture that level of destruction today is, well, it's difficult. It was truly immense, and the evidence of that day and the rebuilding that followed, it's still physically present downtown, even if we don't always notice it. Think about the buildings that did make it through. They instantly became symbols, right? Symbols of resilience. The article calls them the red brick survivors.
Red brick survivors. I like that.
Yeah, and it mentions some still have scorch marks you can see if you look closely. Others were painstakingly put back together using salvaged bricks from the rubble. They're sort of quiet monuments to the town's grit.
So those buildings carry the weight of that history, the trauma, but also the determination to rebuild. But when something that catastrophic happens and you have to rebuild that much, that quickly, you're not exactly focused on careful archaeology, are you?
That's the crucial point. You're focused on shelter, on getting businesses running again. Speed is everything. And that urgency, that need to rebuild fast, opens up the question, what happened to the spaces underneath? Especially things that were already hidden, maybe forgotten, before the tornado hit. Ah, okay. So the disaster might have actually sealed off older secrets.
It's entirely possible. This is where the verified history of the tornado kind of gives way to, to the more mysterious stuff, the secrets beneath the sidewalks.
Right. Okay, let's go there. You mentioned whispers, local lore. The article talks about a potential speakeasy, a sealed cellar.
Yes. This is such a classic example of how these stories take root. The legend goes that somewhere just off Main Street, back in the Prohibition days, the 1920s, there was this building, looked like a regular general store during the day, totally legitimate.
But underneath?
Exactly. Beneath the floorboards, supposedly, it was a different world at night, a speakeasy. And the lore passed down includes these little details, like people claiming you could sometimes hear faint swing music drifting up late at night, muffled,
Wow.
But here's the kicker, the thing that keeps the story alive today. The article says that original cellar space, it's apparently still there, and it's sealed shut, right under whatever business is there now at ground level.
Sealed shut. So no photos, no official records mentioned in the article of Ray's or anything like that. Just a closed-off space in the story. Precisely. But think about it. If that cellar was solid enough to survive the '47 tornado, and during the rebuild they just capped it off, put a new floor over it?
Then you could have a little time capsule down there, untouched since whenever it was sealed, maybe the 20s, maybe later.
That's the tantalizing possibility, isn't it? Imagine being able to, like, step off the sidewalk and go down into that space. What would you find? Old bottles, chairs, maybe just cobwebs and dirt.
Or maybe proof.
Or maybe nothing. But the not knowing, the fact that it's sealed, that makes it powerful. It becomes the symbol for all the town's hidden stories.
It really highlights how the lack of proof can sometimes be just as important to a local legend as actual evidence. The mystery itself has value.
That's a great way to put it. These structures, or even these rumored structures, they become vessels for myth-making. Woodward's identity isn't just the solid, documented fact of the mansion. It's equally built on the compelling, maybe unprovable whisper of the speakeasy.
And that connects to another thread in the article, how communities sometimes latch onto stories about famous or infamous visitors trying to link their local story to a bigger narrative.
Yeah, the source talks about this old hotel building, apparently pretty run down now. But it's collected some interesting tales.
Like the Will Rogers rumor.
That's one of them. The story that's been around forever is that Will Rogers stayed there, back when he was young, before he hit the big time, just passing through.
Plausible, maybe.
Maybe. But then layered onto that are other whispers about the same place. Stories that it was a spot where outlaws, heading down towards the Texas Panhandle, might have laid low for a night.
So celebrity and notoriety, covering all the bases.
Right. And the article is upfront about it, quotes the source saying it's unlikely, fascinating, absolutely, which makes you ask that question.
Why? Why do towns want these stories, even if they're shaky?
Well, I think it's about connection, about significance. If Will Rogers slept here, suddenly Woodward isn't just Woodward. It's part of a larger American story. If outlaws hid out here, it adds a layer of drama, of wildness.
Makes the town feel more important.
Exactly. It elevates the local narrative. Even if the link is thin, the story itself becomes part of the town's shared history, part of how it defines itself. It's aspirational history in a way.
That makes sense. And then moving from the possibly famous to the purely local, you can't have local lore without a good ghost story, can you?
Seems almost mandatory, doesn't it? The article mentions a now vacant furniture store downtown. Classic setting.
And there's a specific claim here, right? Not just vague feelings, but an actual witness account.
Yes. Apparently a former tenant is adamant. Swears they saw a figure. Second-story window, 3 a.m. And crucially, the building was locked up tight, supposed to be empty.
Ooh, okay, that's specific.
It is, but then of course you get the other side. The skeptics.
The creaky pipes explanation.
Creaky pipes, shadows playing tricks, the wind rattling something. Oh, you know the drill. Physics versus phantoms.
And the fact that you can't definitively prove it either way is what keeps the story going. The debate itself becomes part of the building's character.
Precisely. It thrives in that ambiguity.
Okay, so let's try to pull these threads together. We've got the documented ambition, the mansion, the documented disaster and resilience, the '47 tornado and the red brick survivors, and then this whole other layer of imaginative history, the sealed speakeasy, the maybe famous visitors, the furniture store ghost. How do all these pieces, the verified and the maybe not, actually shape Woodward today?
Well, what's really fascinating, and the author points this out, is how the community seems to hold both kinds of history together. They don't necessarily try to debunk every rumor. The article suggests that separating the 100% proven fact from the, let's say, imaginative reconstruction is actually part of the fun.
So they embrace the mix.
It seems so. They embrace both the verified past, like the mansion and the tornado's impact, and this more speculative, imaginative past, the speakeasy, the ghosts, because together they create a much richer, more textured sense of place. History isn't just a dry list of facts. It's a living story.
And it sounds like that story is still being written. The article mentions the community is invited to contribute, right?
Absolutely. That's a key takeaway. The author puts out a call asking people listening, like you, to share their own pieces of the puzzle. Old photos, maybe a personal ghost encounter, stories their grandparents told about Prohibition. Send them in via email.
That's really cool. It makes history feel active, not passive.
It does. It shows that Woodward's history isn't just something you learn about. It's something the community is actively participating in, discovering and telling. It demands that participation.
It reframes what local history can be. It's collaborative.
Exactly. And what all these hidden spaces, these sealed cellars, these unverified legends tell us is that often the most vibrant, the most memorable parts of a town's history, they're anecdotal. They're passed down through families, tied to specific spots that might never get an official marker. So when you walk those downtown sidewalks today, you're literally walking over layers of history, some documented, some whispered. It kind of compels you to look beyond the modern storefronts, to listen for echoes from 1916 or 1947 or maybe even the 1920s. Often the most intriguing parts of any town are just hidden from view, sometimes right beneath our feet.
Next time you walk downtown, what might you be passing over without realizing the story beneath your feet? Thank you for listening to the Woodward Shoutouts Deep Dive. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to keep uncovering our town's hidden stories, be sure to subscribe at woodwardshoutouts.com. Every week we bring you local history, community stories, and the layers of Woodward you won't find elsewhere.